Sorry to interrupt this video for this awesome giveaway. All right, guys. So we're giving away some Vortex binos. You look like you could use some free binos. Do you like free binos? Do you like free hunting gear? Well, you're in the right place. We're gonna give away a lot of it. We're gonna start with a pair of Vortex binos. So in order to win these Vortex binos, it's not that hard, guys. All you gotta do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and you can even comment below for extra entries. So we're gonna be giving away a pair of Vortex binos for now, but don't worry, if you don't win the Vortex binos, we're gonna keep giving stuff away. We're looking to ramp this channel up fast. So the faster we get more subscribers, the faster we start giving away stuff. Do you want a new bow? We're gonna be giving away a new bow. There's a whole list of things that we're gonna be giving away. This is just the first. So if you get entered now, you're gonna be entered for all future giveaways. So like I said, guys, we're gonna give away a pair of Vortex binos very soon. We only got a handful of subscribers to go until we get to our goal. When we get there, we're gonna announce it. We'll probably do another video announcing who the winner is and give away some free stuff. So if you guys want a pair of Vortex binos, maybe a bow in the future, or a lot of other cool gear, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're liking these videos and also comment for extra entries. So simple as that. If you like free stuff, do it. Well, guys, you did it. It's time. It's time to finally buy your own property. Maybe you've been working hard at it for years, putting away money. You've been hunting public land. You're just not getting the results that you wanted. Maybe you've been hunting leases your whole life. It's time to finally go and buy the perfect hunting property. There are a lot of variables. This is a topic that we could probably go into and talk about for hours on end. And in fact, we're probably going to make some more videos about, if you only have a budget, the small parcel. What do you have to look for when you're buying the small parcel? What do you have to look for when you're buying a big parcel? We'll do two separate videos on that as well. But we'll kind of give a broad description of what to do, what to look for in all cases right now. So how to find the perfect hunting property. The first thing that I look at as a habitat management specialist when I'm sent a map or an aerial photo of a property from a client or a possible client is I am looking at axis for predominant winds. Okay, so generally that means there's a couple different axis points, hopefully. Maybe I can axis on a north wind, I can axis on a south wind, and actually I should even back up. What does that even mean? For the most part, you're getting winds out of the west. Maybe it's a straight west, northwest, southwest. So if your axis point to your property is from the west and you have to walk to the east, if you think about it, your wind on majority winds is going to be blowing over your back to where your destination is. If it does that, you're educating deer before you ever get there. Now, there are a couple situations in which that may be okay. One of those situations is there's topography on the property. Why does that matter, Brett? Well, topography steers the wind a lot of times differently than what the weatherman might forecast it. He might say you're getting a northwest wind that day, but the way the topography and the hills roll that wind, and that wind works through that topography like water might, it might be a completely different wind, and that's why you ultimately need to check your wind when hunting anyway. The weatherman, let's face it, is generally not right. Especially on your hunting property. They're not getting precise variables for your property. It's just kind of a generic. So, but anyway, getting back to the topic here, predominant winds. Think about predominant winds when buying the property. If that map doesn't lay out well for westerly winds, the northwest, the west, the southwest, it's maybe not the perfect property. I always tell clients, if you don't have that good access, we can never turn this property into the perfect 10 out of 10. We can work on the food plots, we can work on the timber stand improvement, we can work on all these other things, we can manage the deer, but if you don't have the access, the hunt is technically, well, it can be over before it ever starts if you don't have the right conditions. So make sure that when you're looking at maps, before you even go look at the property, it's one of those things you can really sift through these properties pretty fast. Find where you have numerous access routes, which is really important for predominant winds so that you're not always educating deer from the same locations and going the same way. But more so just allow yourself to have proper access from the east side of the property, or maybe the south at least, or maybe the north. Hopefully not the west, because those predominant winds a lot of times are just going to end up screwing you over when hunting that property, because your wind is also ultimately blowing to your destination most likely. Is that always the case? No. You could always J-hook around or use topography, like I said, but that's the one thing that really keeps a property from turning a 10 out of 10. I can go in there, you can go in there and make all the improvements in the world on this property, but if you don't have the right axis for predominant winds, that's one thing that nobody can fix. The next thing that I'm looking at is really part of the country, and even maybe it's the state for you, maybe it's the county, maybe it's where on the road. What am I getting at? So you got to align this property with where your goals, what your goals are. Are you okay with shooting spike bucks, does, and yearlings, and just getting out there and enjoying time with the family and just getting some meat in the freezer? Perfect. Your spectrum is a lot more broad. We can look a lot more places for you to buy land. Now, are you the guy who's looking to shoot 200-inch deer every year, Boone and Crockett deer? Are you only shooting deer if they're over 150 inches? There are parts of the country that you need to be looking in. The Iowas, the southern Iowa, the eastern Iowa area. A lot of places in Illinois, and I know guys, local residents of these places are saying, shut up, don't tell people about these places. Let's face it, it's the Midwest. There's hot spots in every single state, and you need to be aware of them. You need to do your research and make sure that these places, maybe they implement an antler point restriction. Maybe it's a 1 buck state. And what I mean by that is you're only allowed to take 1 buck. Kentucky, which is actually where I'm located right now, is a 1 buck state. Doesn't matter the method in which you harvest your 1 buck, but it is a 1 buck state. So there's a lot of other states out there where you can kill 2-3 bucks throughout a season through the firearm and archery season. So I'm looking at where in the country, then I'm really picking apart those areas and making sure that they're good areas. But first I start with the state. You know, what am I okay with traveling to? What am I comfortable with? And sometimes I'm okay with going to that farther property. Maybe it's an 8-hour drive, but if I only got to go there 2 weekends to get it done, it might be better than the property that was in my backyard and I just never see the deer that I was going after. So that's one thing that I always try to think about when looking at a new property. Is it going to align with my goals? Is it in the right part of the country? And then we look at the layout and you know, the predominant winds, things like that. The next thing that I'm looking at, all right, let's say we decided the part of the country we want to be in. We decided the county, we found the property. It's got good layout for predominant winds, for axis. We think we can work with this property. Now I'm going to the property and I'm visiting it. What am I looking for? You're looking for potential to make improvements or already have the habitat that is special. Now let's face the facts. It's hard to walk into the perfect hunting property. You can do it, and you know, it is possible. What does that property look like? Probably has perfect looking bedding areas, nasty thick areas, along with some good transition areas, maybe something I would call savanna, where it's a little bit more open on maybe 70% of your property, and then working into food sources. Now let's say you don't have that. Try and imagine what this property could look like. Can you work with this property? Now, like I said, this property could be wide open timber. Now understand that you're gonna have to go in there and make timber stand improvements. Can you go in there and make timber stand improvements? Can you get a logging company in there? Can you do some of the timber work yourself? There's a couple other methods that you could use. You could just straight up cut down trees. You could use hinge cutting. You could use hack and squirt. We'll get in depth on those maybe in a different video or a little bit later on in this video. But can you work with the property? Can you strategically go and place things in certain places using the predominant wind to your benefit? Build a food source maybe someplace, or maybe it has the food source. Can you get to it and ultimately use the property and use those pieces of the property? If not, like I said, can you build it? So the timber, does it need work? Can you get somebody in there? These are all factors that I'm thinking about when I'm going about the property. I'm imagining what this property could be in 10 years, not necessarily looking at what it is now. Now there is a chance that, like I said, you walk into the perfect property and it already is perfect, and you don't have to make a lot of adjustments. But if you don't, at least try and go in with the mindset or trying to think, what can I do with this property and is it possible? So if you go in there and ultimately pick the property apart from that standpoint and try and see it for what it could be, if it's not perfect already, it's in the right portion of the country, and it aligns with all your goals, and you can go in there and actually visualize what that property might be, visualize where tree stands might go, where trail cameras might go, ultimately so that you can just hunt that property and have a lot of success. Those are some of the things that I would lean towards when trying to find a new property. So Finding a new property can be hard, guys, and you got to be patient. Don't ever just decide to buy a property to buy a property. If it's not the right one, wait. And I know that's hard to say with the market that we're in right now. Everybody's trying to get out of the cities and buy land. It is what it is. The perfect properties are out there, and when I say perfect property, it doesn't mean that it's perfect right now, but it might be perfect in the future when you make your improvements. So at the end of the day, guys, make sure you're in the right area, okay? Right state, right county, right street. Really pick it apart and focus in, especially if you're the guy that needs to kill a certain caliber of deer and has serious goals. If you're the guy who's just okay with shooting random deer and any deer and is okay with filling the freezer, you don't have to be as picky. Once you do that, you know, look at that layout as well. After that, look at that layout, see if you can get in there and hunt it on predominant winds, the northwest, the southwest, especially the northwest, because if you're a believer in hunting cold fronts, you're getting northwest winds often. So if you can align a property with good northwest wind, chances are you can probably correlate that with some success later on. So if you can do that, pick apart that property, the location it's in, the predominant winds, and how often you'll actually be able to hunt that property, and then go on that property, walk the property, and if it's not perfect already, visualize, can this be perfect? Can this be built into something within 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years? The long-term plan. Can you work on the timber? Is there somebody in the area that could log if you need timber work? Is there places in which you could clear areas for food plots so that you can create that daylight pattern? Because if you have the food and you had the bedding, which is created through timber stand improvements, which could be logging, logging yourself, the hack and squirt method, the hinge cutting, whatever you decide, or whatever is requested. If somebody like myself comes out and you know, try and gives you some pointers on the property, if you can do all those things and create that daylight pattern, then ultimately you're gonna have success on that property. So at the end of the day, guys, those are some of the things that I look for when buying a new property. If you guys like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. We're coming out with videos twice a week on every topic you can imagine when it comes to deer hunting. So if you like what you guys are hearing, make sure you like and subscribe.